Mr. Otway here with a bit of help with your Native Americans homework. This is for people who aren't sure about the knowledge of what to write. So for the importance of the Indian Appropriations Act, part of the challenge for any of these questions is to get your knowledge and split it into two paragraphs, into two sections. Well, my first section would be, the Indian Appropriations Act removed Native Americans from the plains and put them in reservations, and therefore moved them away from their traditional source and food resource, source of materials, which is of course the buffalo. I would go on to say about the things that buffalo were used for. Obviously the meat was used for food at the basic level, but also their skin was used to make the houses, the teepee. Their dung was used as fuel, and all the many reasons that you will have with your diagram of your buffalo, wherever that happens to be, as to why taking the Indians away from a buffalo would be catastrophic to their existing way of life, because they couldn't make the things they would have made before out of the things they would have made them from, because they couldn't have access to the buffalo. So in terms of altering their lives, it would have forced them to transform their lives, because simply the things weren't available to them because they were stuck on reservations. The second way is, as a result of being stuck on reservations away from the buffalo, they would have been forced to become farmers. And actually, did I use as a result? So, well, don't forget this. You should always be looking at this and using these words. I'm going to use one now. An example of why this was important is because the Indians were not experienced at farming. Although they would know to put seeds in the ground and blah 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 and how to actually grow something, they're not experienced in doing it, and they were being asked to do it on the worst farmland, because the white settlers had taken the best land to farm for themselves, and the Indians didn't understand what sort of deal they were getting, so they got stuck on the worst, least arable farmland, least fertile. So not only did they find it difficult to farm full stop, or to farm particularly successfully because of the lack of experience, they would find it difficult. I mean, an experienced farmer will probably find it difficult, but they'd lack the experience to be able to make good of this land which was difficult to farm. So those would be my two reasons for the Indian Appropriations Act. Some of you got a bit stuck on the buffalo one. How important was the buffalo to the Plains Indians' way of life? Because you just went through listing all the different ways that buffalo was useful to their way of life. And then you go, well, what's my second paragraph going to be? And that's where you got to think creatively. The buffalo, not only in terms of things that they made, but it seeped into how their society functioned. So, for example, their nomadic lifestyle was because of the buffalo. The buffalo themselves provided the materials to make the teepee, so they had a lightweight shelter to carry around to live in. Their nomadic lifestyle was because they had to follow the buffalo around. Their religion was affected by the buffalo. They did buffalo dances. A lot of the ceremonial dress was made out of material from buffaloes. The fact that old people got left behind was because of their nomadic lifestyle, which was because of the buffalo. So if they no longer had to travel around, if the buffalo didn't exist, a lot of those things wouldn't happen. So therefore, that's another aspect. So I wouldn't just go through all the different things you could make out of a buffalo, but also how the buffalo had an impact generally on their lives. And there's two of the answers of what sort of things you could put, some knowledge that you could steal there to put in a green pen answer. That's all from me.